Hannah, I gathered our family today for you. As my wife, don't embarrass me with your cooking. I'm expecting top-notch hospitality. Roy, thank you. But I just gave birth to twins and was discharged from the hospital. A little consideration would have been nice. What? Talking back to me? It doesn't matter that you just gave birth. Besides, having children is a basic duty of a wife. Don't use postpartum as an excuse. Just cook quietly. 1 week after being discharged from the hospital having given birth to twins. As a celebration of the birth, Roy gathered 15 family members at his parents' home. I should be happy that he did all this for me, but it seems he intends to exploit me postpartum. I was completely fed up with my husband's unbelievable behavior. At that moment, I felt like throwing my phone at him, but I held back because it would ruin everything. Then I calmly told him, "I'll get everything ready now. But I'll need your parents to help." Getting help from my parents? Impossible, they're working overseas. Indeed, as my husband said, his parents were overseas and couldn't attend today's family gathering. He looked down on me with disdain. But he doesn't know anything. I already knew everything and had been preparing to get back at him. After a brief laugh to myself, I stepped outside and returned to my in-laws' home within 5 minutes. To his surprise, Roy asked, "Hannah, who are these people? I've never seen them before. Why are you bringing strangers to a family gathering?" Indeed, it was no surprise he was shocked. These two were certainly not family. But they were very much related to him. Just to introduce, this is Ben and his wife Claire. They're helping with today's preparations. You must be Roy. We've been looking forward to meeting you today. We've received quite a bit of help from Hannah. We know a lot about you, Roy. Looking forward to meeting me? Yet, both of you seem rather stern. Ben and Claire, though outwardly polite, looked at my husband with icy stares. Perplexed, Roy whispered to me, "Come here for a sec, Hannah." He pulled me aside to a secluded spot. With a puzzled look, he pressed, "What are you doing? It's outrageous to call strangers without my permission. How are you going to explain this to the family? There's no time left. Send them away and start preparing the meal right now." As usual, he tried to intimidate me with his threatening tone and demeanor. But today, I wasn't going to let things go his way. I looked him straight in the eye, filled with conviction. "No need to panic. Everything is ready. Actually, I'm planning to sue you, with your mistress's parents here." "What? The parents of my mistress? You mean them?" "Roy, you said they were strangers, outsiders. But that's only because you didn't know. Unfortunately for you, I know everything." I continued to speak calmly, just stating the facts. Roy was stunned and puzzled, then his expression turned demonic. "What do you mean by the parents of my mistress? I've never cheated. And what's with your attitude today? Are you disrespecting me?" As his anger surged, he raised his voice and clenched his fist threateningly. So loud, even the family might hear. It was clear Roy wasn't calm. "What's going on, Roy? I heard some angry voices. Is there a problem?" "Oh, no. Just a little spat with the wife. She's a bit on edge postpartum," he replied, pasting on a smile and subtly gesturing for me to leave. What a pathetic man, to think I obeyed him all this time. Ignoring his command, I headed back to the living room where the family was. After taking a deep breath, I began my counterattack. Here it goes. Just Roy, you'll regret this. Everyone. Thank you for gathering here today. I have an announcement. I am divorcing Roy. The previously warm celebratory atmosphere froze instantly. What? Confused voices filled the in-laws' house. Still, I continued with a smile. You all have been deceived by Roy. He's not the temperate, serious, hardworking, filial son you think he is. He's a cowardly man who bullies his wife while hiding his true nature. His good outward appearance is top-notch, so it's no wonder you haven't noticed. I only found out a year ago myself. Confusion and whispers spread, but standing up was Roy's uncle. What's going on, Hannah? Divorcing just after giving birth. And it's hard to believe Roy would deceive us. He even said he was cooking for you at today's family gathering. I'm sorry to shock you, but I'm just stating the facts. As soon as my pregnancy was discovered, Roy started showing his true colors. Despite being pregnant, he made me work like a slave. Even today, he tried to make me cook. He's always lying. Glancing at my husband, he was expressionless. It seemed he was trying to hide his true nature from the family, but I clearly knew what he was thinking. Don't say anything more than necessary, you know what will happen later, he seemed to convey through his anger, yet expressionless face. But I continued regardless. Roy has repeatedly drilled into me that it's only natural for a wife to get pregnant and give birth. I work and provide for you, he'd say, using these words as a free pass to treat me without care. This side of him was never shown during our dating or early marriage. His parents and our relatives looked incredulous, but they know well that I am not one to joke. Thus, confusion spread. Then Roy moved. He stood beside me, took a deep breath, and plastered on his practiced smile. It seems there's a bit of a misunderstanding. I'm human and not perfect. Perhaps I have been harsh in my words to my wife. However, I have cared for her as much, if not more. Unfortunately, it seems only the unpleasant incidents have stuck with her. Moreover, what my wife is saying has no basis. She might be unstable postpartum. I regret not being able to support her better as a husband. As Roy flashed a somewhat sad smile, a wave of sympathy appeared on the relatives' faces. I thought again how good he was at maintaining appearances, but that would only work until today. As expected of the next CEO candidate. Mastering people's hearts seems to be your forte, right? It shows why you're so valued at your father's company. Hannah, I understand you're upset postpartum, but it's not right to confuse everyone like this. We'll talk about this more calmly in another room later. Roy gently took my hand, subtly trying to end the conversation. That's when I turned my gaze to a corner of the room, signaling the next move. The couple stood up. There's no need for that. Everyone, please look here. What? You're still here? And what's with those photos? They showed a stack of photos to the relatives. While the relatives were surprised by the presence of these outsiders, they couldn't help but look at the photos thrust before them. Immediately, a scream-like gasp of horror echoed through the in-laws' house. Hey, what is this? Roy, explain this so I understand. What happened all of a sudden? Show me the photos too. Snatching the photos from his uncle, Roy was speechless. There, the absolute last thing he wanted known was depicted. As you can see, these photos capture Roy's infidelity. I had been aware of his affairs before my hospitalization and gathered evidence. However, being pregnant, there was a limit to what I could investigate alone. That's when I reached out to his mistress's parents for help. I am Ben, this is my wife Claire. We regret disturbing you at such a gathering. However, we needed to clear our daughter's name and agreed to help Hannah. Our daughter, Rachel, worked at Roy's company. She finally got a job there after much effort, attending daily with enthusiasm. But one day, she returned to us broken, played by this man. Claire choked up with emotion. And Ben supported her shoulder, glaring at my husband. Rachel once happily told us she had met a wonderful person. She was a child we were blessed with when my wife was 40. You can imagine how delighted we were. But to Roy, Rachel was just a fling. He deceitfully presented himself as single, and seduced her, much younger than him. When Rachel realized she was just being played by a married man, she fell into a deep depression. We will never forgive Roy. Silence fell. The relatives looked at the photos again and then silently turned their gazes to my husband. No trace of earlier trust could be sensed. No, wait. Are you going to believe what some old man and woman say? Such photos can be fabricated. It's a scam for alimony. We were also surprised by their presence, but would they really commit fraud at a family gathering? I can't believe they are lying, but if you really didn't do anything, then calm down. And you, calling them old man and old woman. Well, I kind of got carried away. It was clear from my husband's disarray that his true nature had slipped out. It was evidence that he was unsettled. Our counterattack was definitely having an effect. The extent of his panic confirmed it. Soon after, someone slapped my flustered husband. Everyone gasped in unison upon seeing the person's face. Especially my husband, who opened his mouth wide enough to dislocate his jaw. Hey Roy, long time no see. Hello everyone, it's been a while. Dad, Mom? Why are you here? You're supposed to be overseas. There was an important matter. We came back urgently. Well, you came back at a good time. Help me. Hannah has started saying strange things. Everyone is being swayed by Hannah, trying to make me out to be the bad guy. I haven't done anything wrong. Hannah must have gone crazy. The in-laws just looked at my husband expressionlessly, without nodding along. My husband continued talking. You know, they often talk about postpartum depression. Maybe you should go to the hospital once. Have the specialists take a look and let you rest. Then you'll surely start listening to me like before. My husband rattled on, then steadied his breath. The in-laws remained unresponsive, but my husband took their silence as affirmation. Looks like Dad and Mom understand. That's a relief for me. I'm really thirsty now. Hey, Hannah. Water. His mother silently placed a water bottle in the hand he extended towards me. He was a bit surprised, but didn't say anything and started drinking the water. That's when my father-in-law dropped the bomb. Roy, you're going to have to quit the company. You're fired. My husband spit out his water like in a comic book. A relative sitting nearby frowned as he wiped his clothes. What, Dad? What are you starting with now? Jokes don't suit you at your age. Decide for yourself if it's a joke after looking at this. Is this a phone? In call mode? And on speaker? Correct. I'm the one on the call. I had your parents listen in from the start with everything on speaker. What? Why would you do that? I contacted your parents as soon as I realized your true nature. They're the first people I should consult. Plus, I've recorded all the abuses you've thrown at me during the pregnancy on my phone. I let them hear all of it. By the way, today's abuses are also being recorded. Saying this, I played the audio files. The phone emitted the sounds of my and my husband's conversation. Roy. Today, I've gathered our family for you. As my wife, don't embarrass me with your cooking. I'm expecting top-notch hospitality. Thank you, Roy. But you know, I just gave birth to twins and was discharged from the hospital. A little consideration would have been nice. What? Talking back? It doesn't matter that you just gave birth. Besides, having children is a basic duty of a wife. Don't use postpartum as an excuse. Just cook quietly. At the moment my husband insulted me today, I felt like throwing my phone at him, but I held back because it would ruin everything. Yes, the reason I endured was because I was recording the abuses. I had confirmed the recording was active when I stepped out to call them from the in-laws' house. You were recording. Hannah, what have you been doing sneaking around? I don't want to be lectured about sneaking around by Roy, who bullies his wife and cheats. Plus, if I didn't do this, Roy would try to weasel his way out of it. As expected, he tried to deny everything. Roy, we know everything. We came back secretly today. We listened to your statements over the speaker and reconfirmed your rotten nature. We weren't doubting Hannah, but as parents, we wanted to believe in Roy. And this is the result. Now, it's our turn to question you. Why did you cheat? Hannah was supporting you admirably. My husband's momentum drained away at the in-laws' words. Since my husband works at his father-in-law's company, he sees his father-in-law as an authoritative figure. He must have realized that his father-in-law would not accept any half-hearted excuses. He hesitantly began to speak. "I'm married just to appease you. Honestly, I never really thought about getting married, but I knew you were worried about my future. I thought marrying someone unassuming like Hannah would put you at ease." Upon hearing this, the in-laws and other relatives all frowned and looked at him coldly. Sensing danger, he quickly begged, "Please, don't fire me. I am a valuable asset to the company, aren't I? If I'm fired, won't it cause chaos? I'll change, please reconsider." Right after he pleaded, a loud thud resonated through the room. His father had slammed his fist down on a nearby table. "You bastard! After getting Hannah pregnant, you dared to toy with an innocent young girl under the guise of being single. How can you be so audacious? Your presence causes more chaos in the company. I cannot entrust the company to you. I am truly disappointed in you. You act on your desires without considering the feelings of others. I didn't raise someone who lives so selfishly, who wreaks havoc in others' lives. Do you understand? And to think you married just for appearances. How appalling. Don't think you can easily regain the lost trust. I am cutting ties with you. Do not show your face again." "What? But I've worked so hard. Are you kidding?" He looked more despairing than I had ever seen him. I knew he had been striving hard at the company. It wasn't unreasonable for him to be shocked, as it all amounted to nothing. But he brought it upon himself. He acted like a victim, but it was entirely his own doing. As he looked down, I gave him a cold stare, and he immediately knelt before me. "Hannah, please convince your parents too. If I lose my job, you'll struggle as well, right? I'll truly change, help me. Aren't we still husband and wife?" How convenient for you to play the husband card now. As I've already announced to everyone, I am divorcing you. No matter how much you apologize, I can never forgive you. They feel the same way. As I glanced at them, they nodded slowly. He bit his lower lip, then slowly turned to face them. "I am deeply sorry for hurting your daughter. I will apologize as many times as necessary." He repeatedly apologized, but they did not nod in agreement. No matter how much he apologized at this moment, we would not forgive him. He was still hiding a terrible truth. While apologizing, he was still trying to deceive us. It's truly unfortunate, Roy. You continue to act even now. If you had been honest, perhaps the outcome might have been different. But as I've said repeatedly, we know everything. There's no turning back now. As I smirked cunningly, he looked at me with a dumbfounded expression. "Acting? How can you tell? I am apologizing sincerely. On what basis do you say such things?" "Embezzling company funds, right? And you hired thugs with that money to threaten Rachel, to keep her from exposing your true nature. You intended to silence her, right?" "You're insane. I would never do such a thing. Without evidence, such wild accusations." "Without evidence? That's not possible. Your parents have been conducting an investigation and have gathered evidence. That's also why they came back. I've also spoken with Rachel herself. I even took the voice recorder she had. Should I play it here now? It clearly records you threatening her." He quickly changed color and fearfully looked at his in-laws. Their gazes were as cold as ice. "Roy, stop your futile struggle. A clear conclusion will soon be reached. This alone is enough for summary dismissal. Meaning, either way, you have to leave the company. Adultery is a personal matter, but embezzlement and extortion change the narrative." "I had no idea it was all out." "Roy, you've always underestimated me. You thought I couldn't do anything, right? I might have struggled alone. But with everyone's help, we managed to get this far. And only I can protect the baby that has been born. I won't be manipulated anymore." I imparted my final words. "Listen carefully, I'm saying this again, I am divorcing you, no matter how much you apologize. I will also claim child support. You'll be the one to pay. We will also claim damages from Roy. Rachel's lost time can't be returned, so at least show some sincerity with your compensation. Wait, hold on. I don't have that kind of money. Someone, please help me. Roy looked around, but all he got were cold stares. Gradually, one by one, the relatives started to leave the place. Of course, no one spoke to him. He lost everything in just one day. After that, my divorce from Roy was finalized. I managed to get almost the amount I hoped for child support, and I breathed a sigh of relief. They filed a lawsuit against Roy as they had declared, and the company finished its official investigation and sought compensation for embezzlement. Roy became mired in debt and sought help from me, his in-laws, and the other relatives. Of course, no one offered a helping hand. Having been fired, and with rumors of his embezzlement spreading throughout the industry, no company was willing to hire him. Eventually, out of financial desperation, Roy resorted to borrowing from payday lenders, and now he's living day to day just to pay off his debts. My in-laws apologized to me again, ensuring that Roy could do no harm to me, keeping a close watch on his way of life. They smiled and told me they were always on my side. I can't thank them enough. For now, I'm put off by the idea of marriage, but if I ever consider it again, I'd want a partnership like theirs. That's how I feel. A few years later, the twins have grown up and started kindergarten, which has greatly increased what they can do. Now they even help out with household chores and support me. I've completely cut ties with my ex-husband, but I still keep in touch with his parents. They introduced me to a company run by a friend of theirs. The president of this company, a single mother who raised her son alone, has created a work environment friendly to single mothers. They have been very accommodating about my situation, allowing flexible work arrangements. Rachel also works at this company. She has made a successful return to society and is now a popular figure in the office with her bright smile. Unsurprisingly, it was her parents who supported her. Seeing how they acted for their daughter, I have many aspects to learn from them as a parent. Rachel is eager to repay her parents. I, too, am striving every day to repay my in-laws' kindness. While there are still many challenges, seeing my children's smiles instantly soothes me. I truly cherish the time spent with my children and am glad I had them. Amidst all this, I sometimes recall something my ex-husband used to say. He said that having children is just a wife's duty. Watching my children grow, I realize again that nothing about it is ordinary. Pregnancy and childbirth are sacred and bring so much happiness. This ordeal has left deep scars on me. But it has also made me aware of something equally important. For my children, and for myself, I want to keep looking forward and live my life to the fullest.